You've probably heard the advice, move in silence, but psychology reveals a deeper reason why talking about your goals might actually stop you from achieving them. Most of us think that announcing our plans creates accountability, but it often does the exact opposite. Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm really glad you're here today. We are going to explore a topic that challenges one of our most natural instincts, the desire to share our excitement with the world. When you have a big idea, a new fitness plan, or a dream business, the first thing you want to do is tell your friends or post about it online. It feels like the right first step. But what if I told you that the simple act of announcing your goal tricks your brain into feeling like you have already accomplished it? This isn't just about superstition, it is deeply rooted in how our minds process reward and motivation. By the end of this video, you will understand why silence might be the most powerful tool you have for actually getting things done. And how keeping your dreams to yourself can act as a battery, storing the energy you need to cross the finish line. To understand why this happens, we have to look at the psychology of validation and how the brain interprets social reality. When you tell someone, "I'm going to run a marathon," and they reply, "Wow, that is amazing, I'm so proud of you," your brain receives a sudden influx of dopamine. This is the same chemical reward you would get if you actually crossed the finish line. Psychologists suggest that this creates a premature sense of completeness. Essentially, your identity shifts the moment you speak. You start to feel like a runner, or an author, or an entrepreneur, just because you said the words. But here's the part most people never realize: once your brain has tasted that reward, the motivation to do the actual, grueling work often evaporates. Because you have already received the social payout, the biological drive to earn it through effort diminishes. You have tricked your mind into thinking the hard part is over, when in reality, it hasn't even begun. Think about that for a moment. Have you ever announced a New Year's resolution with huge enthusiasm, only to find yourself quitting 2 weeks later? It wasn't necessarily because you were lazy, it might have been because you talked all your energy away. When you keep a goal to yourself, the brain doesn't get that immediate dopamine hit. It feels a sense of tension, a gap between where you are and where you want to be. That tension is uncomfortable, but it is also necessary. It is the fuel that drives you to close the gap through action. By denying yourself the cheap reward of social validation, you force your brain to seek the deep, substantial reward of actual achievement. This next insight changes everything about how we view motivation. Silence preserves the tension required to create change, while talking releases that tension prematurely. There is another layer to this called the identity substitution effect. When we talk about our goals, we are often looking for approval rather than accountability. We want people to see us as the type of person who does these impressive things. But research points to the fact that when we prioritize looking successful over being successful, our focus shifts. We start optimizing our lives for the announcement rather than the outcome. You see this when someone spends more time designing a logo for a business that doesn't exist yet than they do finding customers. Or when someone posts a picture of their gym shoes but doesn't actually finish the workout. The validation becomes the goal. And this is where the psychology gets fascinating. The more you talk, the more your brain confuses the talking with the doing. You feel busy, you feel productive, but you are actually just spinning your wheels in a cycle of verbal validation. But this next part explains why some of the most successful people say almost nothing about their goals until they are finished. There is a profound power in privacy. When you are working in silence, you are protected from the swaying opinions of others. The moment you voice a dream, you invite judgment, doubt, and questions. Even well-meaning friends might say things like, "Are you sure that's a good idea?" or "That sounds really hard." These tiny seeds of doubt can derail you before you have built enough momentum to crash through them. When you work in private, you are the only one who needs to believe in the vision. You have the space to make mistakes, to fail, and to adjust your course without the pressure of an audience watching your every move. Silence grants you the freedom to be messy in the beginning, which is exactly what growth requires. Most people never notice this, but sharing your goals also opens you up to a specific type of performance anxiety. Once you have told everyone you are writing a book, every time you see them, they ask, "How is the book coming along?" Suddenly, the project that started as a passion feels like an obligation. You aren't writing for yourself anymore, you are writing to avoid the embarrassment of having to tell people you quit. While some believe this pressure is good, psychologists suggest that for creative or long-term goals, this kind of external pressure can actually kill intrinsic motivation. It turns your dream into a chore. Instead of being pulled forward by your own desire, you are being pushed forward by the fear of looking like a failure. That is a heavy, exhausting way to live, and it usually leads to burnout. And here's the surprising part: keeping secrets can actually increase your energy levels. There is a psychological concept that suggests holding on to a secret generates a kind of internal pressure. When you are doing something difficult and you don't tell anyone, you walk around with a secret smile. You know something they don't. You are building something massive in the dark. This feeling of containment creates a sense of personal power. It anchors you. You aren't seeking energy from the outside world, you are generating it from within. It teaches you to validate yourself. You learn to look in the mirror and say, "Good job," without needing a round of applause from an audience. This builds a type of self-reliance that is unshakable, because it doesn't depend on how many likes you get or how impressed your friends are. If you've ever wondered why your motivation fades right after announcing your big plans, you're not alone, and you shouldn't blame yourself. We are social creatures wired to seek connection. We want to share our lives. But we have to learn to distinguish between sharing our lives and sharing our plans. Sharing your life happens after the fact, you share the story of what you did. Sharing your plans is sharing a story that hasn't happened yet, which is essentially fiction. When you stop telling people what you are going to do, you protect the integrity of your intentions. You stop seeking the high of the announcement and start falling in love with the quiet, boring, repetitive work that actually leads to success. But this next insight might change the way you pursue your dreams forever. It's about the difference between outcome goals and process goals. It is usually okay to share process goals, like, "I'm trying to engage more in my community," or "I'm looking for new recipes." These are low stakes and invite connection. But the big, identity-shifting outcome goals, like, "I'm going to make $1 million," or "I'm going to lose 50 pounds, are the ones you must protect. These are the goals that are tied to your ego. When you keep these private, you detach your ego from the result. You can focus on the daily habits without the weight of the world on your shoulders. You become an observer of your own progress rather than a performer on a stage. Now, you might be thinking, does this mean I can never ask for help? Absolutely not. There is a massive difference between seeking validation and seeking support. Telling a mentor, "I need advice on this specific problem," is very different from posting, "Big things coming soon," on social media. One is a strategic move to move forward, the other is a plea for attention. You should absolutely have a tiny inner circle, maybe 1 or 2 people who you trust implicitly, who know what you are working on. But these should be people who will not just praise you, but will actually hold you to the standard you have set. They are partners in your silence, not an audience for your performance. Let's talk about how to actually practice this, because it is harder than it sounds. The next time you have a surge of inspiration, catch yourself. Feel that urge to pick up your phone or call a friend, and just sit with it. Recognize that urge as energy escaping. Instead of letting it out, visualize yourself pouring that energy back into the project. Open your notebook, put on your running shoes, or write that first email. Convert the potential kinetic energy of your words into the kinetic energy of action. It will feel uncomfortable at first. You will feel a void where the praise used to be. But slowly, that void will be filled with a much stronger substance, self-respect. You will know that you are a person who does what they say, even when no one is listening. This shift also protects you from the negativity of others, which is a factor we often underestimate. Not everyone wants you to succeed. Sometimes, telling people your goals triggers their own insecurities. They might unintentionally sabotage you with skepticism because your growth highlights their stagnation. By moving in silence, you bypass their defense mechanisms entirely. You don't give them the opportunity to project their fears onto your potential. You simply emerge with the result. And results are much harder to argue with than plans. When you show up with the finished product, the weight lost, or the degree earned, people don't have space to doubt you because the proof is standing right in front of them. And here is where the psychology gets even deeper. The quiet path allows you to change your mind. When you announce a goal to the world, you lock yourself into a trajectory. If you realize halfway through that the goal isn't right for you, quitting feels like a public failure. But when you work in silence, you retain the flexibility to pivot. You can experiment, fail, restart, and change direction without anyone knowing. You can figure out who you are without the rigid expectations of an audience. This flexibility is crucial for long-term success because very few paths are a straight line. Silence gives you the room to navigate the twists and turns without having to issue a press release every time you hit a bump in the road. Your goals don't need an audience, they need your commitment. The quiet work you do in private becomes the loud success everyone sees later. There is an immense dignity in being a person of few words and meaningful actions. It makes you mysterious, it makes you potent, and it makes you effective. So, for your next big dream, try something different. Keep it close to your chest. Let it burn inside you like a secret fire. Use the silence to build your focus, protect your energy. And prove to yourself that you can do it, strictly for the sake of doing it. Because the only applause that really matters is the quiet satisfaction you feel when you lay your head down at night, knowing you gave it your all. If this video gave you something to think about, or if you've ever experienced the energy drain of oversharing, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe so we can keep exploring the hidden patterns of our minds together. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.